Get the fuck out of here, you son of a bitch. You asshole. Get your ass out of here.
Okay, let's take a couple of shots of you two.
Dad, we're gonna be late.
Oftentimes, it's films like Fantasia that come up whenever we're talking dark Disney movies. That, or, stuff like Return to Oz, stuff like that, and rightfully so, I guess. I mean, the Wheelers, they still freak me out to this day. But I always kind of just felt that, well, I don't know, movies were more mature back then, regardless of Disney or not, even fair for kids, as the landscape of sci-fi and fantasy in the 80s and early 90s kind of just lent to that kind of stuff. And while Disney followed suit just a little, and we got some fairly mature movies even if we didn't know about it. But it would be when Disney would tackle the lower budget end of the spectrum that in my opinion we would start to get some really strange stuff. As with their Magical World of Disney series of films on television, some of which I've talked about before, well, it would be then that we would truly be blessed by the House of Mouse with perhaps their darkest and saddest and bleakest film yet, Suzie Q.
Killed out on Route 9, Winter 55. She was an angel.
Suzie Q tells the tale of a 1950s teen named Susie, who on prom night winds up dead and returns 40 years later when a 90s TV family moves in her old house, where she gets the teen son to help her with her unfinished business. The connection here is basically that there was a bracelet given to Susie by her date Johnny Angel just before their demise, and that wussy 90s son Zach, well, he finds it, and that somehow means he gets to see Susie's lingering ghost. I don't know. Goddamn, this one is just so strange. From the start, there's a haunting vibe and the low budget look and feel, like, as far as the set design and stuff, like the lighting, and it all just really lends to the uneasiness. Not to mention the straight up horror movie setup. I mean, in the intro of a Disney movie, we get two dead teens.
And this next one is for all
The story itself is also reminiscent to like old scary stories I heard growing up about, the people on prom night back in the day, and you pass them up on the street and they pop up in the back of your car or whatever. And not to mention also having a feel of other films, kind of like The Heavenly Kid. You remember that movie? Or even more so, like Prom Night 2, or even that Halloween episode of Growing Pains. Y'all remember that shit? But Suzie Q also feels like, I don't know, like a lost John Waters movie or something. Only yet somehow less comedic and bright. And that's saying something. And I suppose a large reason for the oddity in the film is probably that this wasn't meant to be a quote-unquote Disney movie in the first place. I mean, as it was produced in part by Disney and sold overseas initially, but it fell right into place as part of Disney's TV output at the time. But it's still a Disney movie, either way, making Suzie Q in some good company here. When it comes to the comedy, it's basically like wacky situational stuff caused by Susie, where the mother, played by Shelley Duvall, gets in tight spots, and these ghost gags go down a few times. And for what they're trying to get off here, I mean, it all works, I guess. And there's like the occasional humorous line from the main cast, but overall, it is seriously overshadowed with the somber, downer tone set at the very beginning of the film. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of charm here too. I mean, Amy Jo Johnson is incredible in this movie, which was basically her first leading role in a film. And at that point, she had basically only done like the first Power Rangers movie, which is obviously an ensemble. But back to the Rangers in a bit. Now, you can really see Amy Jo's talent here, really bringing the charm, but also bringing the vulnerability of Susie as, good God, you just kind of feel bad for her. Not a moment passes where you don't feel her urgency and insistence and get the feeling that this girl is a ghost. She had a tragic ending and that she's buried somewhere, It's kind of creepy. I mean, Amy Jo really sells the character, which in turn brings all those other things to light whenever you rewatch it years later with an adult mind. It really is just a sad movie. The film does its best it could have done with the premise. I mean, it's fun to see a film like this on what seems to be a micro budget. Director John Blizek and writer Shuki Levi, well, they really had a tight vision here regardless if the script is a bit wonky. The plot consists of a deed that Susie was supposed to give to her grandpa before going to prom and, ultimately before passing on. And, it kind of results in some weird, legal proceedings and stuff like that in the movie. It's all a bit off, as it's kind of juxtaposed with the subplot involving basketball and the son Zach. There's a weird scene with, a cop and whatnot. It's a strange film all across the board, but it's all really held together by Amy Jo's performance, I must say. And the best parts of the film really are just everything with Suzie Q, and she's in the entire movie. So there's just a charm running throughout. It's never a boring movie. It is just a weird one. And I guess Justin Whalen, who plays Zach, I guess he's okay. I was never much for that guy, but he was in Serial Mom, which is, of course, a John Waters movie, which I feel kind of lends to Suzie Q's John Waters feel. Speaking of Susie, I always thought it was interesting that she was another character played by Amy Jo Johnson with an affinity to pink. But I'm guessing it was by design, as director John Blizek also directed and edited many episodes of Power Rangers, and hell, the writer also wrote many episodes himself and even owned part of the Rangers, and between the two of them, their work with the Power Rangers is immeasurable. I mean, they did music, editing, directing, all kinds of stuff. And not to mention Susie Q being produced by Saban Films. But ironically, the film would come at the end of Amy Jo's Power Rangers career. Well, I mean, she showed up again in some fashion since then, of course, but it was when she approached the guys to let them know that she was thinking of leaving to pursue other things like film, television, even, music and directing. All of those things she accomplished, by the way, in high regard. But it was when she decided to leave the world of the Rangers that she was immediately offered the role of Suzie Q, as right off the bat they knew that she would be perfect. And now, it seemed she would have some time. So after wrapping things up at Angel Grove, they offered her the role in the script they were working on, and off they went to Canada to shoot Suzie Q. And I'm glad they thought of her, man. She is perfect in this. I can't overstate that. They clearly knew that literally every 90s kid's first big crush was Amy Jo Johnson, and they were taking full advantage of it. And I, for one, at the time, was very thankful that they included this scene. Not much of a supporting cast to speak of. I mean, Shelley Duvall in yet another low-budget Disney movie. I guess this is her part of her big plan to take over the film scene. I don't know, but she does what she can do here. And Will Sasso, he also pops up as a cop. Another pretty funny part of the movie, albeit, still weird. It's funny to see these comedians starting out in Hollywood and popping up in some of these movies back in the day. For instance, Jeff Ross showed up in Encino Woman. Check out my video on that one next, why don't you? Oof. And I, of course, have to mention Bentley Mitchum, who plays Susie's doomed date, Johnny Angel, who also gets the shaft in the beginning. He doesn't get a fair ride here, man. He doesn't even get his own movie. And Bentley, of course, is also known for films like Meatballs 4. And, you can currently catch him performing bass for Corey Feldman's tour. He's part of his band. It's pretty sweet. I got to meet him a few months ago. Cool dude.
Dear Diary, Tuesday on Magical World of Disney. I can't wait to go to the prom with Johnny Angel. He's so dreamy. Johnny's gonna pick me up in his 57 Chevy. I just hope he doesn't crash it into the bridge. That would ruin everything. Of course, if that did happen, they might make a movie about it, and they might name it after me, Suzie Q. The Q stands for Q. Anyway, I'd be the star and the team spirit at basketball games and stuff. Followed by Lucas, Tuesday on Magical World of Disney, movies at 7, 6 Central.
Suzie Q is a strange movie with a very odd ending. As Susie completes her mission, she effectively leaves Zach in the dust when she leaves with her ghost crew into a fog machine haze. But Zach gains the confidence to rejoin the basketball team and even approach a new girl in school named Maggie.
Jeepers.
Hi, I'm Maggie.
I mean, what the fuck? And I didn't even mention all the weird stuff in this movie. There's some bizarre supernatural elements. There's some oddball, adult-themed kind of jokes. And you have to see it for yourself. And this time, we're talking a legit cult classic. People who grew up with it when it was on TV all the time absolutely love the film. And it's really a time capsule of that whole era. An era where these Disney produced TV films just kind of had more of an edge to them, more of an adult theme throughout with some of these movies, seriously. Something I always appreciated as a young teen. And something they'd never really do again, sad to say. And again, getting back to the availability of Suzie Q, it's really not out there. The DVDs are super expensive. Most are rips. VHS copies are elusive as hell, but, again, you can catch a low quality copy right here on YouTube. And Amy Jo, she really does speak fondly of the film these days and recognizes its cult status and wishes it would get a proper release. I can only imagine there's some kind of legal limbo keeping the film obscure, but who knows. Maybe one day Suzie Q will get the recognition she deserves. And then, maybe we can get a Johnny Angel movie starring Bentley Mitchum all these years later. Do you remember Suzie Q? Let me know down below, and let me know what other obscure classics to touch on next. Staunch gang, that's all I have for you now. 2023 has been a fun ride. A rough ride too for me, but hey, a fun one nonetheless. But hey, it's a new year. We have a lot of cool stuff planned in 2024. Please make sure you hit that notification bell, all notifications, all that stuff. Like this video. Let me know what you want from the channel this coming year. Staunch gang, please be careful. Have a good time, and I will see you soon.